Ornette Coleman was an American jazz saxophonist, trumpeter, violinist, and composer. His jazz career started in the 40s. In 1959, he released an album called The Shape of Jazz to Come, which is considered a pioneer in the free jazz genre and avant-garde jazz. It's widely seen as being a pivotal album. In 1960, he released an album called Free Jazz, and that gave the genre its name. However, he always disliked the name of free jazz because he always claimed that the stuff that he did wasn't totally free and that it did have some structure to it. Some of his music has been described as being angular, particularly melodies. I have no idea what that means. In the 1970s, he embraced electric instruments and a genre of music called melodic funk, which he created. He had a band called Prime Time. Melodic funk, I'm going to read a sentence out from Wikipedia. It is associated with avant-garde jazz and free jazz, although its implications extend beyond those limits. So if you think about whether avant-garde jazz and free jazz have any limits, the intention here is it goes beyond those limits, whatever they are. He died in 2015, and he has got a sizable discography, but not as big as most jazz luminaries that have been around for that sort of length of time.
Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album This Is Our Music by Ornette Coleman, which was released in 1961 and was his fifth studio album. It's my first time listening to this album, but it's not my first Ornette Coleman album review. In fact, it's the fifth on this channel. If you're interested, go find out some of the others. And my responses to Ornette Coleman have been quite mixed, I think it's fair to say. So, how am I going to describe this? Small band instrumental jazz. Fine. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be called that. We've got Ornette on alto sax. We've got Don Cherry on pocket trumpet. I don't know what they look like. They sound like they're a lot of fun. Charlie Hayden on bass and Ed Blackwell on drums. So Ed Blackwell's name I don't know. Normally I just name the ones that I do know the names of, but it felt mean to leave him out as the only one whose name I didn't know. So this has been listed as avant-garde jazz, both by Acclaimed Music, where I got my list from, and Wikipedia. I think they put free jazz on as well. They tend to have a broader list of genres. I'm still kind of finding my way through jazz and learning stuff as I go along doing these reviews. I would say this isn't completely free jazz, and my benchmark for this is some of the absolutely chaotic stuff that Sun Ra has done. I think that there are bits of this that feel quite chaotic and free, but there are bits that are not, and there are bits that. So I've kind of noticed the word avant-garde jazz seems to be used when it's not just that kind of chaotic madness, but when there's sometimes more, stepping into more classical feels or gentler stuff, or, things that are off the wall in other ways other than just manic improvisation. So this has kind of got a mixture of stuff. So apparently there's an emphasis here on everybody improvising and but working with each other. So rather than against each other. The liner notes, I've read some of the stuff on there talking about why this is, historically why this is important. I have to say I can detect quite a bit of structure here. So sometimes it's quite out there, but at times at times very out there, but at times I can detect quite a bit of structure, and I'm always looking for it. In stuff like free jazz, because I want to go, it's not free jazz, it's got structure. And I'm probably wrong. I think free jazz probably always has something. So it does explore different speeds and textures, and it's quite varied. There are a few tracks that are quite fast, for example, Poise and Kaleidoscope. Some of them are quite slow and moving into this more kind of gentler, more chamber classical feel, so like Beauty is a Rare Thing. Also, unusually for Ornette Coleman, there's a non-original track on here, which is done a version of a track called "Embraceable You," which is a song that I know because I've played it back in my 20s. I was briefly in a jazz band, and that was one of our numbers. For the first time listening through, I didn't recognize it, but the second time I did, and I could follow it. One of the reasons I didn't recognize it is because it starts not with the start of the tune; it starts kind of with I think a chorusy bit. Anyway, yeah, I mean it is messed about quite a lot. It's quite an interpretation, but there were recognizable bits in it. So my take is this is more tuneful and structured than pure avant-garde or free jazz suggests to me, but it's also more chaotic and structured, more chaotic and discordant than something like hard bop or bebop or other named styles like that. So that there was an interesting thing that I found actually as I was looking and thinking about structure, is that some of the tracks start with bits that are obviously scripted but feel like chaos. So they're kind of written fast runs of notes that I can find no sensible relationship between, and kind of imply discordance and don't do something that's kind of tuneful. But then when I was listening, I could hear it's kind of like this squirt of chaotic stuff, something like that. And then the next thing that would happen would be the same again, and the same kind of arrangement between the instruments. So while it's got chaos in there, it's obviously scripted because it's repeatable. So that was interesting. So okay, uh, I've gone through the technicalities, and uh, I made a commitment a long time ago that when I'm reviewing jazz albums, I'm also, as well as hiding in the technicalities, going to always talk about how did it make me feel, and I guess kind of did I enjoy it. So curiously, uh, yeah, mostly my response was curious. I was interested in an intellectual way. I didn't love it and I didn't hate it. And I think it kind of gently advanced my overall experience of the edges of jazz, in that it's somewhere between the extreme and the more scripted stuff. So I feel like I'm kind of joining in the dots here. So that's what I think. It's yeah, it's whatever it is. It's what I think. But as always, I'd love to know what you think. So please, will you let me know what your thoughts are about this album by leaving me a comment in the comments down there. But that's it from me for now.